Hello, guys. Welcome to my channel. This is your girl, Mommy So True. Hey, I'm so excited that you're here joining me on another episode of Survivor to Survivor. You guys, I am back with another story from a survivor, a real survivor of NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, somebody who's been victimized by this. And today I'm so excited. Today I'm excited to hear this wonderful story from this lovely survivor. And if you're new to my channel, of course, please take a moment to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. Let me know what's on your mind and share your experience if you'd like to do so. Better yet, book your own interview with me and let me hear your story and give you an opportunity to share yours with the world. All right, so let's get started. I'm so excited to hear what's happening. What's up, Survivor? How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing really good.
No,
Happy to be alive.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, so welcome to Survivor with your girl, Mommy So True. So happy that you are willing to share your story. So, let's dive right on into it. I want to hear about it. I want to know what brought you here. Go ahead and, tell me what's been going on in your world and what has led you to want to share your story today.
Well, I guess I just kind of realized I really been a lot I've been going through a lot in my life, and I just think about who I was like years ago, like as a even as like a kid, and I just look back now to like, oh my gosh, like wow, I'm not that person anymore. I'm cutting off bad habits, and
Mm.
you know, I'm only 21, so you can only imagine like
Oh my
how
gosh.
much has happened.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So we got a wise young soul in our midst. That's amazing. I love it. So you say you're kind of self-developing is what I'm hearing. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit about how you grew up. What were some of the challenges? What do you now see has been an issue or has been problematic or has been narcissistic in your upbringing?
Mm. Well, growing up, I had a really happy childhood, two parents in the home. I have one sister. She's like 2 years older than me. And growing up, I thought it was good. My parents are together, like everyone's together. And as I got older, I realized that's really is not what it was cracked up to be. I just started seeing like little things happening throughout their marriage. And I'm just like, that's not, I don't know if I like it was just like little things.
Like what? Give me one example.
Like, oh my, just like an example, like just the way like my father would talk to my mother.
Hmm.
I didn't like that.
Okay. So more like verbal abuse, like belittling, demeaning type of
Yes.
criticizing type of language. Okay.
Yes.
How did your mom react to it?
She always was like trying to she was very optimistic. She still is till this day. Just trying to, you know, save the marriage, keep the peace, that type of thing. I guess that's kind of like where I got my personality from is like her because I'm literally like that. So,
Like very passive
yes.
and like the peacemaker, like, oh,
Hmm.
yeah, okay. Okay. So how is your relationship with your sister?
My relationship with her is good. You know, we I mean, we argued a lot, but it was just like regular, sister stuff.
Yeah.
But she wasn't as like mushy as I am. I'm very like a very mushy person when it comes to my emotions. I'm more like vulnerable and things like that. She's kind of like, you know, cold, but she's also like really honest. So, but she also noticed like toxic patterns that my father was doing. And we would talk about it, but I think sometimes she was kind of like I think I think I was more like rebelling against the toxicness of what was going on. And she was kind of like, hey, like, like don't do that. They're gonna get mad at you. Like she was that sister. And I was like, but I'm like,
Okay. Okay. And you said she was older, 2 years older?
yes, she's 23, I believe.
Okay. So, was your family very communicative as far as emotional needs growing up, as far as you know? Or was it kind of dismissive and you guys just kind of brush things under the rug a lot, or did you talk things out often?
They they would always tell us like come to us if, whatever's on your mind, you can always come and tell us stuff. But then sometimes I kind of felt like I couldn't come to them because, they, would blow up or maybe they don't like what was being said, that
Mm,
type of thing.
okay. What brought you to discovering narcissistic abuse, and what is that doing for your life?
I actually discovered narcissism like the beginning of this year. This I feel like this was like the prime year I started like researching and just wondering why people were acting the way they were acting.
Mhm.
Why I was getting into relationships with people that were just so toxic and just had unhealthy habits that didn't align with who I was.
Mhm.
And like even in like I guess you could say high school, I was dating a lot of people that were emotionally distant, and that's not who I am. And I was just wondering, like I actually thought something was wrong with me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, am I asking for too much? Am I too clingy? Like,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. When did you start dating?
So my first boyfriend was actually in sixth grade.
Okay.
And then, but like my first official relationship was actually 2018 because I wasn't allowed to date in middle school and a little bit of high school. I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend.
Okay.
And yeah, they were like, I had like really strict parents.
Looking back at how relationships have been for you, you've already confirmed that there's some type of connection between um, your dad and how he made you feel and what you kind of normalized, and then
Mm-hmm.
your mom, how you kind of picked up her empathetic ways and her ways of just kind of letting stuff slide and choosing to be that positive person. In the beginning, you told me that you're kind of working on yourself and you're learning so much, and you've discovered narcissists now and narcissism. So
Mm-hmm.
what is it doing for your life right now? Do you find yourself still attracted to the same things? Are you just like a completely different person? Are you unlearning a lot of stuff? Is it challenging for you? I mean, like, what are some of the things that you're going through as you're kind of rediscovering yourself, now that you know that narcissistic abuse played a role in your life and who you are? What is it doing for you now?
Learning about it has made my life a whole lot better. Like, I'm able to see like the red flags a whole lot quicker than I was when I was younger. I was more, I looked on the bright side of things. Like I never assumed every person I meet was a bad person. Like I truly wanted to believe the best in people.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna assume the worst.
Yeah.
And we just met,
So tell me,
smearing your name.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about this relationship because it seems like it's your most recent relationship, and it sounds like you dealt with someone who may have been narcissistic from what I'm hearing. So what are some of the things that led up to you guys breaking up or the relationship ending that you now know, like, yeah, there was something was wrong with this dude? Like what kind of stuff was happening?
He was very controlling and very materialistic.
Mm, okay.
And we would always hang out. We was hanging out all the time. I was like, and when we first started dating, I remember he was complaining to me about, we don't spend as much time together and all that stuff. And I'm like, I understand that, I get it. I'm like, I want to see you too. Just a very needy person. Um, oh, and he always had like, it was always something going on in his life. It was like, I have depression, and he was saying he had cancer when he was younger, and it was just great. It was crazy. And he was always in the hospital, and it's just like, I just can't even deal. I remember him telling me, like, babe, my depression gets bad at this time of the year. And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, oh, yes, like, I know, I understand that. But now looking back, I'm just like, what is you talking about? Like, why are you saying this?
One. Okay. I mean, I hear people say their knees start hurting at a certain time of the year. Like their arthritis kicked in, eczema come up at some time of the year. But depression, it's not seasonal, dog. Like,
Right.
wow, that's crazy. So, um, how was he when y'all first like started dating? Was he did
Very love bomby.
you okay?
Love bomb.
So he was very pushy. What's did he
Yes.
do? What type? How did he get you? How did he get you? Is what I should ask.
Mm, I think the things he was saying to me, like, I love you, and, you
Mm,
know, send me a bunch of emojis.
okay.
And he had got me a promise ring. And
Mm.
I remember I showed my mom, and she was like, wondering why did I have a ring on? And she was like, you better take that off before your father see.
Oh,
And I think he said, I don't know when, but I know he said, like, I love you, like, early,
mm.
very early.
Okay. Okay. So now that I know there's some emotional void there on your end because of really dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that hearing I love you from someone in that time, do you think that he was able to get you because he filled a void for you in that time? Like hearing I love you and feeling like someone was validating you, someone was paying attention to you. Do you think that's why you gave him a chance?
Yes, absolutely. Like, my other relationships, it was hot and cold, I'm the problem, I'm doing too much, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, you know, I just wanted love. Like, that's it.
Yeah. And then so here you were dealing with somebody who kind of mirrored that.
Mm-hmm.
He let you think that I can be that guy for you. I am that.
Yes, you sound just like him. Like,
That's scary. I'm
yes.
becoming too good at this. Lord, that's scary. Wow. Because I mean, listening to your story, that's just how that's what I'm imagining. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. I'm connecting all the dots and I'm trying to make sense of why you're at this point in your life. And I hear it. I definitely understand it. It lingers from childhood, or it lingered from childhood into these relationships, but it sounds like you're just such a wise young woman that you ran into discovering what was happening earlier than most because
Mhm.
of your level of wisdom. And I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. So that tells me like a narcissist is not going to be able to crush you in life. They're not like what? When I was 21, I didn't even know what the word narcissist was. So sis, that's a major blessing. I mean, I'm really proud of your strength at this age. I'm really glad that you're determined to learn about it and like, fight back in the way that you're supposed to. Um, wow, that's amazing. So, are you currently dating, or what's your perspective now on dating? How long has it been since you were in that relationship?
We dated for 3 years. So I was with him when I was like, I think, hold on, how old am I? I'm 21. It's about to be, I mean, it would have been 4 years last year.
Mhm.
So I was with him. Me and him, we were practically like high school sweethearts,
Okay.
you know. Um, and I'm not dating right now. I recently just got out of something that was very, very, very short lived because I noticed the red flags immediately. Like this guy was just, oh, he was just off the hook.
Mm.
Like the guy that I was dating for 3 years, I'm not sure. I feel like he was very grandiose. Like, I think I'm better than this person and look at me. And whereas this guy that I met at college, he was a covert. So it was like so hard because it's so subtle, you don't know. But I was picking up on things that he would say to me, like, I'm like, that don't sound right. Like,
Mm.
but he was a completely different person in public versus private. Like when he was like, I had a like me and him, we have class together, and when we're in the classroom, he sticks out like a sore thumb. Like he's like overly shy.
Mm.
I don't know if he has anxiety. He told me he had anxiety, but I'm just like, he comes to class, he never has a book bag, and I'm just like, oh gosh, like, he skips class and he's always late. And
Mm.
but I was like noticing the things that he was saying to me, and I'm just like he would always joke a lot. He would always joke a lot. He would say something and then he'd say, "Oh, I'm just kidding." I'm like, wait, what? Like, what just happened? And he would smirk. That's how I knew. I was like, that's the narcissistic smirk. I'm like,
Mm.
oh
Mm.
my gosh.
Wow.
And another thing is, I don't know if it's the anxiety, but he would never make eye contact with you,
Mm.
like ever.
That's a good one. That's
I'm
a
like,
that's
so
a
like when he would, so like when he told me one time a message, he was like, "Yeah, I was looking at you." I'm like, I was looking at you, and you was not looking at me. Like he would just look so shy and bent over the chair. he would like walk into the room like real fast. I'm like, what is he doing? Like, but
Social.
when we was in private, when we were in private, he he talked so much. You wouldn't have thought, he came off as charming in private.
Wow.
It was crazy. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I'm just attracting all these. Why do I keep attracting these people? I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. So, what brought your relationship with him to an end? How did you end up escaping this relationship?
Which one?
Well, the last one. Well, not the short-lived one. We're not going to count that one. The one,
Right, that one don't count.
yeah, the 3-year relationship. How did it end for you guys?
He just My parents noticed he kept lying to me. He would tell me stuff, and then I would go back and tell my parents, and then they would look at me and they'd be like, hey, like that doesn't sound right. Like he's lying to you,
Mm.
And when you're in a relationship 3 years deep in, like, in my mind, it's like I didn't want to hear their opinions. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, they're judging me. And then what made it worse is I would hear them talk about my relationship with him, like, you know, in a different room. I would hear it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this is why, like, this is why I stopped coming to y'all and stopped telling y'all stuff. Like, he's a good guy. Like, he's not hurting me. Like, what? But he, he had a lying problem. He just kept lying and future faking. And
Mm.
just like, he lied about stuff that you really shouldn't lie about. And but that's what really ended the relationship was the lies and promising me stuff that just sometimes he did keep the promises, but other times he would not keep the promises. Like me and him, we were actually going to host a family cookout. I went to the store, I got all the supplies, and I was checking in on him, like, hey, like, did you do this? Did you do that? I noticed I started doing that in the relationship, like checking in, like, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? Make sure you do this. And I noticed and I noticed his behavior. He started kind of like getting frustrated and, saying that he always had an excuse for stuff. Like he was saying he had a fallout with his stepdad, and that's why, like, I'm like, no. And then he said that because he had bought the food and stuff. He said the food was at his grandmother's house, which was like half an hour away from where we live at. So I'm like, so why is the food there? And then come to find out, no food was ever cooked.
Mm.
He didn't have a car. Oh my God. It just keeps getting worse. Like, I already knew he didn't have a car. He lied about having a license.
Oh wow. Now that's why would you lie about that?
Exactly.
How do you how do you sneak that around for like how do you keep up with that kind of lie? So did he drive at all? Like I'm confused. Like
he
he
was driving
never
he was
drove you,
he was driving other people's cars,
but
like
he
his
never had
grandmother's
he
car.
didn't have a license, but he was driving around.
Yes. And then it was funny because apparently his grandmother's car used to be his car, but apparently he gave it to her because hers broke down. So that's what he supposedly had said. But
Wow.
I'm starting to think he didn't have no car to begin with.
Oh my God. You lying about stuff you ain't even gotta lie about. It sound like his time ran out.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like he couldn't lie anymore. Like the relationship fell apart because his expiration date hit. Like after so long, you can't future fake. You can't keep lying. It just like who do you think you playing? Like, I mean, okay, a year, 2, 3 years. Yeah, no. We're not doing it. Like, where's your license? It's 3 years and I've never seen this license. So, like, you know what I mean? It's just
Yes.
they just so dumb. Oh man, they just so dumb. It's sad. Okay, all right. Let me not be mean. Wow, that's crazy.
I feel like honestly, he love bombed me throughout the whole relationship. So he never really did anything like, vicious to me or anything like that. So it was like hard for me to like let go of him because, we had always got along for the most part. So there wasn't really like nothing crazy, but he was also very emotionally unstable.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of times where I'm like, wait, I don't like that. Like this one time, like on Instagram, I found out that through he had another Instagram account and he was following like a whole bunch of half naked, Instagram girls. And I confronted him about it. He said, I was hacked and or that type of thing. And I'm just like, ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Bullshit. I call bullshit. Wow.
I
Okay.
also noticed with him there was also little bits of, I guess, kind of triangulation.
Mm.
When it came, he always was bragging about how, he would say, I can't help that I'm cursed with my looks. And I'm like,
Mm.
what do you mean? Like,
No.
and he was always telling me about how, this girl came up and talked to him and how he blew him up. And he's making sure I knew that they were blown off, that he blew them off. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that really pumped up his ego.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was just insane. Oh, this is a really good example. So when I was in high school, when me and him had, it was like, I guess it was still the beginning of the relationship. There was this girl that he had worked with,
Mm-hmm.
and she had went to our school. And I found out he was hanging with me at gym because he had came to my class. He came to like visit me and stuff. And I was just like randomly curious. You know, I saw he left his phone behind, so I'm like, okay, let me just like kind of look. And I go on his Instagram, and the girl that he told me to not worry about, I see her profile in his DM, and I wish I would have read the whole conversation, but I didn't have a chance to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was saying something like, "I understand what you're going through," or something like that. And I confronted him about it, and I'm just like, "What is this?" And he he didn't cry or anything, but we walked out into the we walked outside like the gym, and he was sitting on the ground with his arms up. You know how like people have like their hands on their face and they're looking down. He was doing that, and I walked away from him, and then I came back, and then we started talking, and you know his voice was just sounding so needy, like, I'm so sorry, like I didn't tell you, like I'm like, why didn't you just tell me, like. But the thing is, this is what he had tried to say, what the excuse was. He actually has said his friend, named, I'm not even gonna say his name. His friend had liked the girl but he got his phone taken away. So he was texting the girl from his phone. I'm like, okay, if that was the case, why didn't you just tell me? Like, and it was one of the things where I kept bringing it up in the beginning of the relationship, and I'm just like, oh, I don't like that, but like, he said he wouldn't do that type of thing again, so let me just forgive him, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the end of our relationship, I was looking back and I'm just like, that was not right at all. Like, that was actually grimy. Like,
Dang.
he just didn't want me to break up with him.
Very manipulative.
Yes.
Very manipulative. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Ooh, that's crazy. Man.
He
Well,
had a way with his words. And I remember when I had tried to break up with him in a restaurant. Well, we had met up. Luckily, we were like in a public place, and he wasn't even like, I don't know if he was crying, but I know he was begging, you know, begging me to give the relationship a chance or let me talk to your parents about it and da da da. I'm just like, and I don't like begging. I'm like, why is you begging? Like, this looks so bad.
it's not a good look, especially from a man.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So, are you completely no contact from this guy, or what's the status with him now?
I'm completely no contact. I blocked him off of every social media just for my peace of mind,
Yeah.
you know.
That's awesome. Um, where do you see yourself, let's say in 5 years, knowing that you're learning all the things that you're learning? Where do you see yourself going in life because of the experience that you've had with these different types of people, and understanding what narcissistic abuse has been doing for your life? Because I know you said in the beginning, like, I keep attracting these people. Like, so now that you're onto them, now that you see them, where do you see your life going, or how do you see yourself being in the next 5 years because of what you're learning?
I just see myself being the positive woman that I know that I could be. And it's like the further I distance myself from these people, the most harmonious life I will ever have.
Yeah. Protecting your peace, right?
Protecting my peace.
Yeah.
And it has been a year since I broke up with him, and I just noticed my life was just going up because being with him, it brought me down.
Yeah, I love that. That is a true survivor's testimony, because in actuality, you cannot heal by sticking around the narcissist. You can't heal by being around the environment that hurt you in the first place. At some point, you have to disconnect, you have to detach, you have to escape, you have to find a way to get away so that you can free yourself and get what you deserve. Because like you said, they pull you down. They will. And they
Yes.
do. And until you wake up to it, before you know it, 3 years has gone by, 5 years has gone by. People are married to these people for 25, 30, 40 plus years. And it's not intentional. It's just a matter of, are you going to wake up, and are you going to stay awoke, and are you going to choose you now? And it's always great to hear a survivor who is like, I am thriving, I'm coming out of this, I am never going to let this happen to me again. I don't care if I meet somebody and it lasts just 3 days and I discover they're a narcissist. Oh, well, at least I discovered it.
Yes.
Like 3 days is better than 3 years. Because you're not going to be able to really, I'm going to say avoid them, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to settle for them. Now you know what they are and what they do. You know how to make healthier choices, and that's what makes you victorious. And I just love the fact that you're able to share that type of a story at your age. I think it's so impactful. I'm so proud of you for doing that, because I know a lot of young people watch my channel, and a lot of young people don't share their story because they don't feel like no one cares or like no one can relate. And that's not true. Narcissistic abuse happens to everybody, anybody, all sizes, all ages.
Mm-hmm.
It does not
All
matter.
walks of life.
All walks of life. You could be rich, you could be poor. It does not matter. So I really appreciate you for sharing your story. How are you and your father's relationship now that you're older? Do you guys still communicate the same, or has things changed? Does he understand that he might have caused some issues for you, or is that something that you rather just kind of grow apart from and just kind of get away from as time goes on? Where are you at with that?
Um, Me and my dad, we're close, but I feel like sometimes it's kind of hard to like talk to him sometimes,
Mm,
because I know he'll just not take accountability. Um, but I think it's something as I grow up, I just kind of have to navigate him being in my life. I just accepted the fact that this is just who he is, and he's
mm,
probably not going to change
mm,
because I think deep down he's always been like this.
mm,
Probably, even before I was even born.
mm.
And but I also look at, you know, I guess like I don't know, like I just look at how he was brought up, and sometimes I'm like that makes a lot of sense, but it's still not an excuse, because both of my parents didn't have the best upbringing. You know,
Yeah.
his father wasn't around, and still now he isn't around as much. Like me and my sister, we don't really know much about him. We met him a few times, but
Mm.
he don't really stay in contact with my dad like that. Um and his mom passed away. She passed away, I think it was like before I started high school.
Mm.
And I know this is like so sad to say, but I've never seen my father cry, like ever.
Wow. Wow.
And um, my mother, she, her parents were divorced, they separated, but her side of the family, it's like a lot of, a few of them like toxic people, like, and she decided to like distance herself and keep things to herself, and you know because she was always telling us like her mom, her mom wasn't the best mom, you
Mm.
know and but she had a really great father, so it's like that they didn't have the best upbringing. And so,
Yeah. Yeah.
but just knowing that, knowing how I grew up, I want to like change that
Yeah.
and just like break that cycle of, you know, of dysfunction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's why I felt so strongly in the beginning of the call. I said, this girl has a great purpose because everyone doesn't survive narcissistic abuse. And most people don't don't get to where you're at until they're much further along in life. So I knew already your story was unique because of your age and the wisdom behind your age. I knew already you're not like the typical new generation 21-year-old, right? So now that you just confirmed that for me, I feel even much better knowing that my intuition was right. The reason why you're here right now is because you are that curse breaker. You are the one who is making that change, and the universe is just putting a seal on it by allowing you to share this story because it's going to help so many people that can relate to you specifically. You may not even know how big that is, what you've just done. But I keep saying, I'm so proud of you. You don't even understand. Like, I wish I could see you in person and just really hug you for being so brave and courageous and allowing, I don't even know how to put it. I don't know, allowing God to really use you. That's what he's
Mm-hmm.
that's what he's doing. And this is so awesome, man. This is so awesome because it's going to take people like you that are going to be the generational breakers. It is people like you that are going to change the minds of the ones that no one else can reach, you know, and to go through so much at such a young age speaks volumes about the type of future that you have in front of you. So I don't know why I have to just let you know that. And it's not a coincidence that you're talking to me. It's not a coincidence that you've discovered narcissistic abuse. None of it is a coincidence. You're just being armored for this life that's ahead of you. And um, the only reason why you keep attracting them, so you say attract them, is because you're learning and you're growing. And at some point, you're going to be so ready to take on whatever life has for you. And I'm so amazed by your story because I was not expecting it. And I always ask God to send me the younger people. I'm like, God, I really want to reach someone who was me when I was really hurting, when I was really seeing that my family was dysfunctional, my life has been toxic, but I know that's not who I am. So I'm like, God, I want to reach that 20-year-old, that 18-year-old, 18-year-old. And God is like, here you go. Yo, this one right here, ready for you. I've been working on her. I've been getting her ready just for you. So I want you to stand strong. I want you to keep thriving. I want you to keep growing. And yeah, man, don't even don't even dare look backwards. And I know you're not. I know.
I'm
Yeah, I know you're
damn.
not. Yeah, I know you're not, man. I'm just very inspired by hearing this from you. And I know so many people are going to hear it and be like, wow, wow, dang. I thought I was young. I thought I was too young. No, you're not. No, you're not. Some of these stories can be speaking to the heart of a 6-year-old. You know,
Mm-hmm.
age has nothing to do with this. Um, but man, Survivor, thank you so much for coming through with this story and letting us know um, that we're not alone and that there's so much purpose behind our pain. And every narcissist that comes into our life runs out of time. They all have an expiration date. They all got to go because they come into the chosen one's world, and that's a whole different world. That's a you dealing with an empath, like a true empath. It's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
last. It's not gonna work out for you because we're real and genuine, and you're a future faker. You're a liar.
Mm-hmm.
You're a manipulator, and it's not gonna work with me because I'm opposite of that. So
Yeah.
they're always gonna be losers, and we're going to keep showing the champions that we are, not even trying to, but whatever. I'm really happy to have heard this story though. Honestly, I am. I know it's gonna save so many young people's lives out there because a lot of young people don't even know that they are not by themselves and they are not the only
Mm-hmm.
one through that. So thanks for being vulnerable. And those of you watching, those of you listening, thank you for watching this episode of Survivor to Survivor. Again, if you're interested in sharing your story, please book with me. The information is in the description box, and I would love to hear from you very soon. Until next time, beautiful people, stay true, take care, and I will see you later.